Hello and welcome back to Max Runout. My name is Paul. This is part 6 of my series on injection molding plastic parts in the home shop. And this time we're going to take a look at the first mold that I've tried to build and what it looks like and what I expect it to do or how I expect it to work. Then the second part of the video, I show the mold attached to the injector with all the controller and everything on it and what that looks like and how it goes together. And I get set up for a test run to measure the temperatures of the various parts as the system is activated. So with that, let's get started. In this video, we'll take a look at my first attempt to make a mold for my new setup. I decided to start with a knob like Harold Waters did, partly because I got some needs for knobs for some of my machines. This is one I had laying around. The kind of knob I want to build. It would have a bolt sticking out the back for adjusting various things, but this was a knob that I had sitting around that was the opposite. It had a hole in the end and a set screw, but that's really not what I'm after. And I thought it had a pretty pleasing look, and so I decided I'm going to try to make one that looked like that. The one that Harold made had round protuberances on the ends, and then flat spots in the middle. And this one is the opposite. It's got round indentations. So I decided I'd give that a try. To do that, I started with a piece of 2 3/4 inch aluminum round that I had, or actually I found at a swap meet, and I drilled holes. Started by drilling this hole pattern on the mill, and I drilled them first, and then went in with a 1/2 inch end mill. Actually, it was a reground end mill, so it's a little less than a 1/2 inch. It's about 450 thousandths, maybe 11 millimeters, and this would be 2 3/4 would be. I can't do that in my head. I'm trying to learn how to think in millimeters, but when I hear a dimension that way, I got to go back and think, what would that be in inches? So anyway, in order to make these indentations, what I needed to do was to make some round pieces that would fit in there, like this, and then press them in. I made them the right size so that they were a press fit, and then I used my arbor press to push them in there. And you can see I got one in there already. The others are just holes, but this one's already inserted, and so that'll give me that shape. It's going to be a little smaller than this knob, but it'll give me the shape that I'm looking for. So the next step is going to be to finish making these and pressing them in there. These little nibs on the back are going to get cut off, because once I get these all pressed in, I want to have them all even. So I'll put this back in the lathe and I'll turn that down. So anyway, the procedure was I made the holes first. I also made another 4-hole pattern, and they're threaded, and that's for bolting the other half of the mold on. So the next step is going to be to make these and press them in. Then I'll go back in and do a skim cut on here to make everything even. And then I will make another part, that same diameter, same material, and it will have it will bolt on here with that hole pattern, and it'll be cut to make this extension on the back of the knob. I actually intend to make that much smaller, maybe 5/8 or in diameter or so, and much smaller than it is on this one. And then so the parting line will be right here between the this part will form the front of the knob, and the other part will form the back of the knob, and they'll be held together with these 4 screws. I ought to be able to get them pretty tight at the seam to keep plastic from oozing out there, but even if it does, that's on the back side of the knob, so that really won't be such a bad thing. The front side of the knob, the quality is going to be controlled by what I did here, and I'm not real happy with the way this came out. I did this with a boring bar on the lathe. I cut this cavity in here with a boring bar, and the surface finish is not that good, but like Harold, we'll call that decorations, and maybe it won't look so bad after all. But it's not going to be a real smooth finish like the knob I have here. So, and then the last, well, I'll make that second part, and then I think the last step is going to be I have to come in this side, and I'm using a 1/4-inch pipe thread to couple the 2 halves together. So I got to drill this and tap it for a 1/4-inch thread, and then I'll just screw it on, inject the plastic in, and then unscrew it again. So that's the plan. We'll see. I don't know if it's going to work or not, but we're going to give it a try. It's a couple days later now, and here's the mold all finished and put together. It'll be held together when it's operating by 4 bolts like this, and this is the back piece, which is what I just made. I cut these bolts off to fit, and this is the part I showed you before, and you can see that I've pressed in all these pieces. I pressed in all the round pieces. I made those on the lathe. The first one I did fit perfectly, and I measured it a couple of times and got it just the right diameter for a press fit, and that worked out good. The rest of them, I just set the lathe to the same, the cross slide to exactly the same position I had set the other ones, and I thought I would get them all the same diameter, and I did. 3 more, so 4 in total came out just perfect. A light press fit worked nice. 2 more ended up a little on the large side. I was able to press them in, but I had to press pretty hard, and the last 2 ended up a little on the small side. They were a snug fit, but not a press fit. And so I learned a lesson there. I think, you know, in between each time I turned one, I had to change the tools to do a facing and a chamfering, and change tools again to do a cutoff. And then I went back to that same adjustment, and I guess my old lathe, is not as accurate as I thought, and it didn't come back to the exact right spot. So if I would have added 1 more step and measured each time, could have come out somewhat better. So anyway, that's the back finished, and as I indicated on the other side, I drilled that and tapped it for a 1/4-inch pipe thread, and then I left at the very bottom of it, I think you can see there, I left a hole, a smaller hole, to let the plastic flow into the mold. Now that I don't really know what size that hole needs to be, or what the best size is for it, so I'm gonna experiment a little bit with it. I'll try it like this, and if the plastic is not filling the mold well, I will make it a little bigger. It's easier to make it bigger, harder to make it smaller, so we'll try it that way. So the other half, the back half, that's machined out in the back. This is the bolt that will be part of the knob, and I made an opening in the back to make an extension to the knob, a 1/2 inch extension, and it'll swallow the bolt head. I got the bolt head, so it's set right now, so it's about halfway in the extension and halfway in the knob, but I'll be able to change that from time to time as well. So that completes that side, and of course it's threaded on this side, and that's a 5/16 18 thread, and if I decide I want to go with a different bolt size for different applications, I just got to make a new part like this, and the other part, of course, which was a lot more trouble to make, will stay the same. So we're going to give it a try and see how that works. I've thought a little bit about how to get the thing apart when the part is completed, how to get the mold apart, and the way it's built, I can when it's finished, I take the 4 bolts out, and then I can turn this way, and the bolt head should stand still at that point, and that ought to back this part away from the other part, and that would release this part of it and what's inside here. But now the knob is still in there, and I don't know how tight that's going to be. Different videos I've seen people have had more and less trouble getting it out, but what I thought is I could make a little spacer out of plastic or some soft material. This will be cold now. I'll have cooled it off. So I could put some plastic in this gap here, and then I turn it the other way. And when I do that, this bolt is going to tighten up, and that ought to pull the knob out of the other half of the mold, hopefully. Don't know if that's going to work or not, but that's my thought anyway. So we'll have to see how it goes. By the way, the reason I'm fumbling around a lot here, as I told you at the beginning, I'm really new at this video stuff, and I'm doing this with a pad type computer. This is actually a Microsoft Surface is what I'm using, and it's got a nice camera in it. It's a fixed focus camera, but it works okay. I use if I want to get a close up, I use a magnifying glass, and that works fairly well. But for this, I'm staring at the screen, which is right in front of my face, and I'm reaching past it to make grab the parts, and because I'm not looking at my hands directly, sometimes I got to look around a little bit to find the part to get it. So that's why I'm a little slow here on the video. Okay, next video we ought to be starting to get this together and get the whole part together. I'm a little worried about the temperature of the mold. I don't know how hot, how warm the mold has to be. I've seen some websites that talk about molding HDPE that indicate the mold ought to be, not as hot as the plastic, but somewhere in between. I've heard numbers like 240 degrees or so would be the ideal mold temperature, and of course that's Fahrenheit. And the plastic is going to be somewhere close to 400, between 350 and 400. And so my plan initially is to I'll be using a brass fitting to hold the mold to the injection tube, and so that's going to conduct a certain amount of heat through there. And I'll wait, fire the thing up, and see how warm the mold gets, of course, because it'll have heat coming through the brass pipe, but then it'll be dissipating it by conduction or whatever to the air or convection, I guess. And so I don't know what temperature it'll reach, but if it doesn't, then I may have to add a little heat to that, see if we can get it up to about the right temperature. So I think the next video we'll put the whole thing together, and before we put any plastic in it, we'll just see what the temperatures get to. We're set up for a test run on the injection rig. It's all put together now. The injector is hanging down from the bottom of the arbor press, and at the very bottom is the mold now attached, and at the bottom of that I've got a temperature sensor to measure the temperature of the mold at the very bottom. At the center here is the temperature sensor that feeds back to the controller. That's that little bolt that with a wire on it that goes in from the left. And the heating coils are attached up here. And the test setup is right there. Get the focus right here. On the left is the controller, and that will be reading the temperature at the nozzle of the injector. And on the right is another, it's a VOM that I'm using to measure the temperature of the mold at the very bottom, so we can see what the mold temperature is. And in the back is an old Kodak darkroom timer, which I found at a garage sale, and that's going to keep track of the time for us. Okay, the next segment of the video was supposed to be a recording of a test run showing from the time we turned the system on, the temperatures gradually building up, etc. But I don't know, somehow the gremlins or Mr. Bozo or somebody got involved, and we only got left with 3 seconds of video. I don't know what happened to the rest of it, but but fortunately it was the last 3 seconds. So so you're going to have to pause your video sometime between during this 3 seconds, and you can see how the test came out. The controller on the left is reading the temperature of the nozzle in degrees Celsius, and the VOM on the right is reading the temperature of the mold in degrees Fahrenheit. Sorry for the conflict there, but that's what the instruments that I had on hand would give me. So you'll be able to see the end of the test and how the things came out. So we'll give you the 3 seconds now, and then I'll come back and explain what was going on. Okay, so you can see that at the end of that 3 seconds there, I hope you didn't get bored. We were about 8 minutes into the test. The temperature of the nozzle was up to 202 degrees Celsius, which was within 2 degrees of the target temperature of 204. So that was certainly in shape to start injecting plastic. And the mold temperature was about 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and so that's within an acceptable range, I think, for the mold temperature as well. My intention is to, after the mold is filled, to duck it in a can of cold water to get it cooled off right away. So I think that'll work. Incidentally, I have done a little more research on the web, and I've looked at some sites from people who make plastic and HDPE for this kind of application, and it turns out that the nozzle temperature really needs to be somewhere in the range of 400 to 410 or 420 degrees Fahrenheit, and which is about 200 degrees Celsius, and but the mold temperature can be at room temperature. In fact, that's what they recommend, 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's 25 degrees or so Celsius, which is nominal room temperature. So that makes that part easier. So now I've got to grind up some more plastic using the shredder and get ready to run a full-blown test on it. So hopefully the next video we'll try to make a plastic part. And as always, thanks for watching.